Yes. So, hello everybody. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to wherever you are. So, and let's begin this session, guys. Before I begin this session, let's quickly have in the comment in the chat box. I would like you guys to comment us whether you can hear us and see us properly or not. Please post as yes if you can hear us properly. Great, guys. So good to see so many positive comments coming already in the comment section box. So let me just share my screen before I begin. And yes. So good evening, guys. In this session, we are going to discuss about what it takes to get into the best business schools in Europe. And this is actually not a general webinar that we guys generally come around. This is something else. This is the first episode of our talk show, which is the business school talk show, which we have recently released out. And we'll be discussing about this. What is this? What is the agenda? What are the what is the scope that we're going to cover? And then in the second section, we'll move on to the main part where we'll be discussing with our two main speakers, Sana and Diane from IESE, how to get into the best business schools in Europe. Then we'll be completing the section with an open-ended Q&A round in which if we have not covered something, you have something in your mind. So you guys will be able to ask uh, in the open-ended Q&A round any doubt that you have. So guys, this business school talk show, when we are talking about the current times, it does not complete the story before wishing good things for guys who have currently joined us. I really hope that everybody is doing fine in these difficult times. So when we are, and just talking about the difficult times, this brings me to the agenda of this talk show. And team at GMATWhiz has launched this noble mission to provide aid to the victims to this pandemic by promising a donation of a certain amount for every episode that we are going to hold. And this is done with the partnership of Mentoroni. Also, the best part is that it has to be a collective effort from us who are organizing this talk show and also from the audiences who are going to attend this talk show, which means that more people attend the talk show, more funds we will be able to garner, and more people we will be able to help out. So guys, if you have not done that already, I would request you all to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to like and share the episodes as much as you can and spread the word about it. So after moving on to this, having discussing the agenda of the business talk show, this is how we came up with this idea. Now, what we are going to do in this thing is that we're going to discuss the strategies, the right strategy, the approach that you should follow for getting into any best college that you want. And this will not be limited to a particular college, region, or any country. We will be spreading the episodes across the globe, ranging from the far east to far west, covering almost all the colleges, how to get in, the scholarships and the post-career path, the immigration rules that might help you, that might help certain countries, and the rules that might not be welcoming for other countries. So we'll be discussing everything. Now, I would like to hand over to Sana for a brief moment so that she can describe, what Mentoroni is about, what it does in the context. Please, Sana.
Thank you so much, Rajiv. Very happy to be here and speaking to all of you. And thank you so much for joining us. Diana and I are representing here Mentoroni platform today. which is a social initiative which was formed during the COVID-19 pandemic. It is a platform where you can connect with students and alums of your target schools and get mentorship on topics such as MBA or for your master's application strategy, GMATWhiz, GRE strategy, resume writing, as well as career counseling. The mentorship is provided for donations to any NGO of your choice, supporting the cause of the COVID situation in India. Thank you.
Great, Sana. Glad to hear that Mentoroni is doing such great stuff. So, guys, coming back to our talk show, what are we really here for? So, in this episode, which is the first episode of our business talk show series, we'll be discussing about the right country and the right B school for you, how to select which country you should go for, and the B school you should aim. It all depends upon various factors, how to think structurally and organize your thoughts towards the right direction. Then we will come on to the point which is a very common question, because most of these schools in Europe side, they offer the 1 year program, and most in the West side in the US they offer 2 year program. So we are really confused. If you are open to country and B school, it really gives a pain in the head. Should I go for 1 year and 2 years? So we'll be discussing what are the pros and cons and the strategy to go for it. Now, in the third part, we'll be discussing the specific application approach for IESE, which is one of the best business schools in Europe. Then we'll be discussing about the key clubs and the communities which are there in IESE, how you can leverage their expertise in key areas and how you can contribute by playing out to your strengths in those areas. Then we will, discuss the scholarships for these colleges, and then we'll end the session with an open-ended Q&A round where any question in your mind which has already not been answered or something that we have missed on to, we'll be discussing that part in the Q&A round. So before we move on to the session, let's first introduce our main speakers. Thank you, Sana. Thank you so much for lending us your precious time and being with us. Sana is currently pursuing MBA from IESE Business School. She is the founder and CEO of Social Corporate. She's also serving as the global judge for the Hertz Prize competition. And prior to that, she has served in KPMG in the M&A vertical for more than 3 years. Diane is also a current student at IESE. Thank you, Diane, for taking out some time for with us and helping out the students. He is the co-founder of Neandros Financial Services, which expertises in providing tailor-made solutions for the specialized for the small firms and the large firms which specialize in so that's to help them in short-term financing and insurance products. He is also the co-founder of Kitchen Sink Consulting, which provides management consulting, project management, and data analytics services to all the most of the many MNCs across the globe. He has also co-founded Softproof South Africa, and but currently I think he's sticking to the other two companies that he has co-founded. Now moving on to our first doubt that we already have. So would like you to quickly bring in Sana's and Leanne's point of view, because they are the experts over here and will be able to guide us properly into this arena of the unknown zone that we are venturing into. So please, guys, if you'd like to comment on how should a guy or anybody should go for this venture, going out of your hometown and country can be really adventurous, because most of the people who don't have an international experience, they would really worry about which country to choose and which school to go for. So how they can really go about it.
Sure. Thanks,
Hi,
Rajiv.
Rajiv. Sana, I think can you start and I'll follow you.
Sure. Thanks, Dan. So they say that you would do an MBA for basically 3 main reasons. Let's start with those first, and then we'll jump on to the other factors. One could be that you're looking for an industry jump for whatever reason. Second would be that you're looking for maybe a functional jump, or you're looking for a vertical jump in the sense that you're looking to go from a lower management to a senior management, or let's say you're looking to enter the management tier completely in a company, in your company. A third reason could be that probably you're looking for a geographic change, right? So when I was considering schools, a few factors that I really felt were important for me was that what the school is really offering, because you have to understand what you really want out of an MBA. Why is it that you want an MBA? Is it just from a financial perspective, or you're looking for a geographic change or a functional or an industry change, or probably you're just trying to get a promotion? You need to understand what the school has to offer, because every school specializes in certain things, right? Another reason, like I mentioned, would be the geographic advantage. So you might be looking to shift your location to a different continent or a different country. Another thing which is very important to look at, I feel, while exploring B schools is the careers prospects within the region or within the country of the B school, or at least the continent, right? Because ultimately, that if that is something that you're looking at. Another aspect that I feel is important, you need to understand and find out within the school how strong the alumni network really is in the region of your choice for post MBA opportunities. The final option, the final thing, final factor for me would be to consider, based on different lists, the top schools that you're looking at. I feel the list at the end, the top ranking of MBA around the world are also equally important.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo Sana's points exactly. I feel that looking at the different countries and knowing exactly what you would like to do post MBA influences your choices of choosing a country as well as a school. There's a school of thought that says if you've made your mind up and you'd like to end up in the UK, it would make sense to go to a school that's based in the UK, seeing as you are geographically closer to job interviews, and that the majority of the people that will be in your class are people that live in that country. With that said, I firmly believe in when I made this decision was that an MBA for me wasn't necessarily just a springboard to the next opportunity. I really wanted to take this opportunity and be able to enjoy and immerse myself in this MBA, and choosing a country that you will live in and will be in for 1 or 2 years, and making sure that country fits your personality and fits your needs, I think is also vitally important. As Sana also said, I think we are all susceptible. I think most of our MBA searches started by typing in top MBAs in the world and looking at the different rankings. And I do feel that looking, even though those rankings aren't always as accurate as we would like them to be, it is important to know that the school that you do choose is seen as a top school, because the people that you will be applying for jobs to after your MBA, they are also looking at this ranking, and you need to make sure that the status of the school is up there. Not saying that schools that are ranked lower are necessarily bad, but it does play a role. So I would say, as Sana would say, look at the school, what it offers, and fit that to your personality. Look at the country, and make sure that it's a place that you would like to live in for a year or two. Yeah, I think that's basically what I followed when I started looking at the different options available. As you know, both of Sana and I are we going to IESE, and I mean, comparing the weather from Spain to the weather in the UK and France would be a bit unfair. So we would at least be able to get a tan, where I'm sure those poor people in London are still lily white. So there's a lot of factors that it plays a role. So yeah, choose something that you'll enjoy. That's basically what I did.
Great. Great to
Yeah, in
hear
fact,
the
I'll
end.
add one more point to this, which is something that I actually missed out on while searching for my own MBAs, but I think it's an equally important factor. So while you're considering schools, let's say that you know that you want to go to Europe versus the US maybe, or versus Asia or Middle East. So do try to understand what the government regulation or the different visa regulations are, and the advantages are offered for international MBA students, because in each country within Europe, in fact, in each country around the world, these regulations and advantages are very different. For example, recently UK has made some changes to their visa regulations for MBA students, and they say that post study work visa from 2021 onwards gives international students at UK business schools 2 years work permit to work in the UK after their graduation. So do research on those factors as well.
Great point. Great point.
So apart from researching about what are the prospects we have in terms of, let's say, what aligns with our interests, how much do you think, guys, it is important to also consider this fact, what we have already done in the past, our experience, how much does it align with the prospects of industry in that country, or, what are the prospects of that industry towards that cause in that college? Does it make sense to look for the alignment in the college or in the school's philosophy with that of our experience in the industry, what we have gained so far?
Yeah, look, I think whilst you're doing your research and going through the schools, and I would highly recommend speaking to current and past students that were at that school. You'll quickly be able to get a feel for the type of student and the type of focus that school has. In my personal experiences, when I spoke to a lot of the Oxbridge students and the LBS students, they were focused a lot more on the IB and the consulting side. And while speaking to people at IESE, I personally found that they were open to untraditional backgrounds like entrepreneurs and stuff like that. So that I would say yes, you have to align, because at the end of the day, certain schools are looking more towards certain students, and to understand what the school is looking for, and what they're trying to what the class looks like that you're trying to build, will obviously assist you in your application process to make your chances of getting in a bit higher.
Okay, that makes sense. So it makes more sense to form a collinearity, like you should form a straight line between 3 points: the past experience that you have, the current position that you hold, and long-term goals or the post-MBA goals that you're looking at. If they are collinear with college, with the right school fitting in, right country fitting in, that makes more sense to go. Then it makes more sense to go for that school and college. Yeah, perfectly makes sense. Great advice, Rian. And the one thing that Rian mentioned very accurately is that to get a sense of what is the philosophy of college, what is the arena over there, you need to explore, talk to the adcoms, the alumni, and I think this is one of the sessions that we are already organizing, and this will play an important role in the aspirants research work. So it will also give them an edge over the other aspirants, because it might give them much more leeway and reduce the time that they might be devoting in. Great advice then, Rian. So guys, let's move on to our next main hurdle, which is the most of the aspirants, they really ponder about the 1-year MBA program and the 2-year MBA program. And the most common consideration that we come across is that in a 2-year MBA program, you will be able to form much better links, much better connects, and you will be able to network in much better fashion over when we compare this thing with the 1-year program. So what's your take on this? Jian, you might
So
go
I can
forward.
take this.
Oh, so we can probably set a schedule. Sana
Yeah.
first.
I think Sana is in a better position than I am with regards to this question, because her husband just finished the 1-year INSEAD program.
Yeah.
So I think let her kick it off, and I'll fill in the blanks.
Okay. That makes perfect
Yeah, so
sense.
I can actually give a bit of perspective for both these options, and I've been in the same boat. A year back, even I was wondering whether a 1-year MBA is right for me versus a 2-year, because of the obvious options and the obvious factors that Rajiv just mentioned. But yes, it's more of a personal choice at the end of the day, and it's also for you to really understand whether you can afford the additional 1 year, because it is an opportunity cost at the time. At the end of the day, it is a time extra that you're spending at the end of the day. So I'll kick this off with discussing the pros and cons of each. So let's consider 1 year MBA first. Of course, we all know the pros are going to be, you're saving a year's opportunity cost, you're saving your time, you will have a better ROI because you're saving on the living expenses, right? So these are all the pros that that you have there. The cons, of course, would be that some of the 1 year programs do not include an internship. So you need to be very careful about what program you're applying for. For example, INSEAD has 2 programs every year. One of them includes a 2-month internship and the other one does not. So you will actually be passing out of your MBA within 10 months. So just look out for that. But that, having said that, it doesn't mean specifically that if you don't have an internship, then you're not getting a full-time job. While if you have an internship, the conversion rates are usually higher to get the full-time job offer from the same company where you're interning at. But it's not impossible to get a good job for international students even without an MBA. So it's really going to depend on your networking skills at the end of the day, and you will have to go up and beyond what the school is offering, right? The support the school is offering. Also, another issue with the 1 year program, which may or may not be an issue for some of you, is that it's a very, very intensive course, right? Because you can understand that if you have a 10 to 12-month period, that includes networking, it includes bonding with your batchmates, learning from them, it includes your academics, your job search, your interview preparation, and your traveling and other things, right? Maybe your hobbies that you're pursuing with your friends. And everything jam-packed into a 10-month course. And it's not that you're learning anything less, it's just more rigorous, right? Whereas in a 2-year one, it's the most spread out. Now, I'm going to talk about a few pros that I feel a 2-year MBA has, or programs such as IESE, which are more flexible, where you can really tailor your experience. Firstly, you have more time. So for people who are not exactly very sure what they want to do, and they just want to learn from the cohort, they want to learn from the excellent faculty, and they are in a position where they just want to enter the school and they really want to learn about, they want to explore options, and they're not really sure. Like, you might know that you're interested in maybe technology, you might know we want to enter maybe marketing, or let's say you want to apply for consulting. That it's a great chance to kind of start over again. At a mid-management level at the same time. The second thing is you can chart your own academics once your core subjects are over. For example, in ESA, we have about 10 to 11 months of core subjects, and thereafter for the next few months, it's completely up to you. And schools like ESA and HEC have started offering specialization tracks also, which can be added to your degree ultimately. Another reason for probably going for a 2-year MBA is that it gives you the flexibility to tailor your MBA. For example, you can, after the core classes, you can choose to go for an internship. You can actually do multiple internships if you want. You can take up an entrepreneurship summer if you want to, start a startup. You can choose to study or take up local community project at the various international campuses that ESA has to offer. You could also choose to go to an MBA exchange to any of the top 30 schools, business schools around the world that ESA has tied up with.
Yes, I mean that's. I mean, I don't have the experience that Sana has. I've obviously done research and I've spoken to a bunch of students, and I'll echo the fact that one of the points that Sana made was that it's intense. A 1-year MBA, with all your travel, with all your interview prep, the amount of work that needs to be done. I personally felt when I chose to do my MBA that it's a process of bettering yourself. That's basically why I'm doing this MBA, is to improve. And I'd like to immerse myself and really take my time to understand the work and to understand how that work is applied. And I basically felt that in 1 year, to be able to do that, to be able to fully understand and go back and ask questions, it's going to be tough. And that's why I chose ESA that has the option to either go 15 or 19 months. I just felt that, look, that's enough time for me to do that. I think one of the large, obviously the academics is one big part of your MBA, but the other large part is how you build your network and how you interact with classmates and create these lifelong bonds that will bear fruit later in your professional life. And I feel over 2 years, you can really build intense and close bonds with your classmates and be able to really get to know each other, and later in life be able to still help each other out. And over 1 year, if you are bombarded by classes, you are bombarded by job interview and job interview prep, and clubs and everything, I just think it's difficult to create those type of friendships. So again, it needs to come down to what is important to you, and secondly, what you can afford. I mean, I did the calculations between the 1 year INSEAD and the 19-month IESE, and after sitting down and actually seeing what it would cost to live in a more expensive country like France, compared to living in a country like Spain that has got a lower living cost, it actually came out to quite even. Even though I'm staying in the country for about 7 months longer, because it's so much cheaper, it came out. So what I'm saying is that your ROI obviously makes a big difference, and go and do the math and make sure that what you're assuming is actually what the reality is. But yeah, it does come down to you. Do you want to be out of the workforce for so long, or are you going to spend the time with the 19 months to build? And because if you're just coming in to get your certificate, to get the MBA under your belt, and then to go back to your job, I would suggest the 1 year. But if you want to take this experience and really immerse yourself and really build these relationships and really make this MBA more than just the certificate, I can't see how the 2 year is not an option. It can't be the only option.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think there is some network issue and your voice is breaking a lot in between.
Oh, sorry about that.
So can you hear the end?
Did I cut out for the entire time, or just the end?
Sorry, Rajiv, I think it might be at your end, because I'm able to hear everything clearly.
Okay, sorry. Please continue the end then.
No, I mean, that's basically what that came down to. So, yeah, I mean, I think just do the research. There's obviously pros and cons on both sides, but make sure that your assumptions are solid. So go do the research and make sure that whatever you choose fits your what you want to get out of this the whole process. Rajiv, are you there?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. So that means the math should be more of around the trade-offs that one would like to have. So if you are more towards the financial constraint and you can, get that hardest work done, the rigorous job, the rigorous internship, the MBA program, along with the networking, if you can hold on to that, and you have much of the financial constraint, then you should go for a 1 year MBA program. On the other hand, if you're more of a networking kind of person, if you want to enjoy the MBA journey in a more comprehensive manner, then you should probably go for the 2 year MBA if I'm not wrong. So if that makes sense, that makes complete sense, I guess. And so that brings us to the next part of our talk, which is how to approach the applications of IESE, which I guess would also cover the basic points on most of the B schools that we have. So Sana, why don't you go first?
Sorry, Rajiv, you were breaking up. You're talking about the application process, right, of IESE?
Correct.
All right, great. So basically, I filled the application for 4 schools. I knew that I wanted to, be in the Europe region only. So I applied to IESE, to INSEAD, HEC, and ISADE. And by far, IESE, I felt was one of the smoothest application processes that I have been a part of. And not just because it has the least number of essays, but also because I had a huge amount of backing and support from people from the school, representatives from the school who helped me and guided me throughout my application process. So IESE, by the way, so IESE actually has a least number of essays than any other school that I have applied to. In fact, any other school in the European region, I think among the top 10, I would say. And in fact, I started my IESE journey by filling a profile evaluation form, which is on the IESE website, if you go check that out. And, I expected like a standardized response because it's the same procedure for a lot of other of the European schools. And I expected like a typical copy-paste reply that, your profile is okay, your score is okay, go ahead and apply. But it wasn't so. In fact, one of the admission directors, Malvika, she actually reached out to me through an email to schedule a one-on-one meeting with her where she can help me evaluate my profile as well as understand my fitment within the school. Other than this, IESE also hosts multiple interactive sessions, maybe like on a weekly basis or a fortnightly basis, and a lot of interactive sessions, and not just with the adcoms and to learn about the school, but these are also hosted openly for everyone by various club representatives, nationality clubs representatives, country or continent specific sessions, and a lot more. So if you want to learn more about the school, then I would say that's a great starting point for you. At least it was definitely a good starting point for me. And the more I learned about the school, I just kept signing up for more and more sessions that I felt interested me, and I let your curiosity drive you, basically, for any school that you might be applying to. So also, every student and alum that I reached out from IESE through maybe email, it could be through LinkedIn, they got back to me within a day or two, and almost everyone helped me, and they were so supportive throughout my application process. And they were there for anything that I might have required, any questions that I had, and they were available for that, including the adcom. In fact, I interacted with adcoms of more than 10 schools while evaluating with these schools I want to apply to. And I have not witnessed such a warm and such a wholesome response from any other school members. Let's talk about the essays now. So IESE has 4 broad essays. I'm not sure if they're going to change the process this year, but at least last year this was the process. The first essay asks you about your life's motto. Now I really love this question because, it really made me self-reflect at this point, and I felt it's highly personalized. And this is really your chance to show them your story or show them what you truly believe in. Maybe talk about your values and what really drives you in general. The second question is a bit generalized, and this is a question that every school is going to ask you, so you might as well get started on this question first before you sit down for any application. They want to understand your motivations for pursuing an MBA, and they give you a chance to explain why that school that you're applying to is a good fit for you. So this is a good opportunity where you can also, you should also look to talk about how you can contribute to the school or the alumni or to your cohort, what you bring to the table, right? The third essay is an optional one. Again, if you have any additional question that you want to address that wasn't addressed through the previous essays, go ahead and do it here. The fourth essay is again optional, and that is in fact the scholarship essay. And you'll notice that all of these essays have a limit of 400 words, so you might want to be as concise as possible. Within if your application is successful, the final thing would be that you would receive an email to schedule your interview with a member of the ADCOM. Along with the interview, you might also be invited to a thing called an assessment day. Now, an assessment day is basically, this takes place usually right after the interview stage, where you will be given a short case study beforehand. You have to prepare the case study well, and then on the day, you're going to be randomly assigned in a group of 5 to 7 people, where one member from your group would become a representative, and how you're interacting within your group and discussing the case or presenting it to the professor after your discussion, it will all be observed closely by the ADCOM who is sitting inside your group. So it's a good idea to sign up and attend an open day event, which is an event hosted by IESE quite regularly. So they usually host this event once every 2 months. So definitely sign up for that to get a feel of how IESE conducts all of its core classes, which is through the case study method for 1 year.
Yeah, my story is quite similar to that of Sana. I actually got connected to Malvika, which was my ADCOM as well, before I even decided that I'd like to do an MBA. I was speaking to a current student and said to him, well, it sounds great, but I don't know what it's about. And Malvika reached out, and I think the big differentiating factor that IESE had for me in the entire outcome start was in that conversation. She explained to me what exactly the MBA entails and what it looks like, and the big thing was that she was dead straight and dead honest, and even spoke to me about the advantages that other schools have. So I also applied to IESE, SDA Bocconi, Rotterdam, Cambridge, and from all of them, the interaction I had that first day with IESE was just out of this world. Throughout the entire application process, even in those hectically bad times when you get your first GMAT test back and it's a horrible mark, and I emailed IESE and I was like, I'm not even going to apply because I'm not going to get in. And Malvika was the one to reply and say, look, relax, take a breath, you can take it again, relax, we'll work with you and we'll make a plan. I think a lot of times students forget that we are still, the schools want you. It's I think a lot of times we feel like we need to suck up to the schools to try and get in, but the school, if you've got an interesting background and you're a great person, the schools actually want you as well. So ask the questions and make sure that you know that your decisions that you make is the right one, and be picky. To be honest, be picky and ask the hard questions of these adcoms, because that's their job. As Sana said, throughout the application process with IESE, it was a lot easier because of the lack of essays. But you'll see when you guys are applying to different schools, you start getting like a pool of essays that you can start pasting to the different applications. Just make sure to change the school names in each of your when you go from one to because that is a mistake you don't want to make. Yeah, I mean, I went through the assessment day and I spoke to the head of admissions and with my interview, and throughout the process it was great. I think if I can give advice when it comes to writing your essays is, in my opinion, I try to be as authentic as possible. I think these adcoms receive thousands of essays in that application process, and I think through that process they've almost taught themselves they've learned how to spot people that aren't being as honest or as authentic as what they are. I think be as honest as possible. These adcoms people are trying to build a class with different perspectives, with different people and different points of view. And if you try and write this essay in the perfect human and just write the generic responses that you think they want to hear, you'll just blend into the rest of the people that are applying. You won't stand out and you won't be that cool new point of view that they're looking for. So I think be as honest as you can. And these essays for me is a way for the AdCom staff to kind of get to know who you are. So if you're a funny person, let that show in your essay. If you're a person that is straight to the point, let that show in your essay. This essay should be a way for you to show them who you are, what you think. And even if you think, well, they might not like to hear this, it might be great for them to read that point of view because they haven't heard it before, and that's how they remember you. So if I can give advice, and the advice that I've given to other students is right, and be as authentic as possible. And then lastly, and this is obviously a moot point, but get somebody to read your essay after you've done it. I think I know with me, I wrote and rewrote and rewrote and rewrote, and after a while you stop seeing mistakes and errors and stuff. And I think the quickest way for you to mess up is to hand in an essay with a bunch of grammar errors and spelling errors and stuff like that. And I missed that the first time. So hand it off and have somebody have a look at it before you submit. So basically that's the application process in a nutshell for me.
Great,
it's actually a great
insight.
point. So in fact,
Yes.
I started one of my IESE essays with a fun fact about me, so it was actually a hilarious point. And I brought it up in my interview also. And similar to Diane, I also had my main interview with the head of admissions, and honestly, it was one of the best interviews I've ever had, and it went on for more than 1.5 hours. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, because it was as if both of us had all cards open on the table, and we were just having a very honest and a heart-to-heart conversation. And it's one thing that you're trying to show a story that may or may not be true, but try to be as authentic as possible, because it's going to come out beautifully at the end of it. You need to really believe in yourself. You need to believe in your story when you're speaking to the adcoms.
Great insights, and great insights, Diane. So apart from the normal application process, though ESA has less number of questions, but it's quite comprehensive, covering almost all the arenas, because it says almost in the first essay, it asks you what is your life motto, and then it comes on to the question why MBA and how you can contribute in the school and how school will add value to you. So the essays are less, but it is more comprehensive. Also, very interesting point brought out by Sana and Diane, that be authentic, because if you are probably trying to portray yourself as somebody else, it might the probability that everybody might be changing their course of direction in the same zone. So you might be inadvertently, you might be ending in more competitive pool. So if you are more authentic, that means you will be different. So it increases the probability rather than reducing the probability of getting in. So I think that makes complete sense from that point of view. Also, we have a very good question from Pooja. Let's take up one question in between. What do you think that should people go for a guide in this whole journey of GMAT and B school? What would you guys have to say about this?
Look, I think I think it's a good idea. I mean, you can't go wrong if you've got a good guide. I think make sure that this person has knowledge about the process. So I think there's a lot of, in my experience and looking through the different guides, there are a lot of people that are actually more specialized in the US schools, and then they try and pass themselves off as people that know what's going on in Europe and vice versa. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think there are ample information online that you can use. And again, in my experience at IESE is the ATCOM staff did basically everything that a normal guide would have done. So speak to your ATCOM staff and see how involved and how helpful they are, and you might save yourself a bit of money. The other option you have is to pay a lot less and use Mentoroni, because we are here to assist you and to use us as guides for a fraction of the price, and that money then goes to a really great cause. So I mean, there are options. You can't go wrong. It's not like using a guide will be disadvantageous, but I mean, just be clever about it, because it is, at the end of the day, some of them are extremely expensive.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. For me, it wasn't actually GMAT. GMAT I felt wasn't really my cup of tea. I attempted the GRE, and that's an exam that when I took the mock, I felt at ease when I took it, and I felt much more comfortable. Plus, my score was decently high to begin with. So I've studied for a few, and I didn't have any guide for that. So, but I did read up a lot online regarding how different experts suggest that we start off with it, or how we should target different sections, or focus on scoring a little higher in whichever your weaker sections are. So I feel, it completely depends on you. Maybe start off by taking a mock for both the exams, whichever you're more comfortable with, and assess your weak areas within each topic. So once you have narrowed those things down, then maybe you might want to see that if overall you're not doing really well, or you need a guide and you're sure that it's going to help you out, then again research and find a guide for yourself. There's no harm in that. I know that 80% of my friends who applied to B schools went with a guide for their GMAT. And if you need help for GRE or GMAT, again, the same point as Diane mentioned, you can feel free to reach out to people, experts here at Mentoroni. Or if you need some specific clarifications for GRE, feel free to reach out to me through LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, I think to add to Sana, nothing can compensate for lack of time. I think it's basically sitting down and putting in the time. That's the only thing that truly guarantees you a good point, or a good mark. And then relax. I remember with my first attempt at the GMAT, I was so stressed out that it completely threw me. I would do mocks and do well, and then the first official went in and was so stressed that it completely threw me. So I'd say with relax. When I spoke to our adcoms after that first horrendous attempt, she said, relax. Remember that GMAT isn't the only indicator that it's not the biggest thing for you to get in or not. It's a part of it. I think the GMAT is a great tool for them to use to see where you rank up. But still, your experience, your essays, your interview, all of those things also count just as much. So I would say relax, do the research. Like Sana said, make sure that you want to do the GMAT or do the GRE. I did both, and I found I like the GMAT more than the GRE. So it's a personal choice that you make. But again, it's about putting the time in and making sure that you use that time effectively. That's the main advice I can give about the GMAT, because it does run out. There's always something you haven't done or something you want to do more. And if you don't manage your time correctly, before you know it, it's time to do the official exam. So I think that's the biggest advice that I can give when it comes to the GMAT.
Great insights, Tian. Great insights, Anna. So let's quickly move on to the next section that we would like to discuss, which are what are the key clubs and communities at IESE, and how people can leverage their expertise, and what kind of people, and who can contribute into the IESE community and how.
So now I'll start with this one. So IESE fortunately has I think more than 30 different type of clubs. Obviously, they've got the professional clubs, and then they've got social clubs, and then they've got auxiliary clubs. I can call it that, like responsible business clubs, and so forth. In my experience, I'm going to MBA with my wife, and I've got 2 one-year-old twins that are coming with. So one of the things that was quite important for me was a very active partners club that assists the partners of students when coming to the MBA. And yes, I had an amazing partners club. From the start, they were extremely inviting and helpful with my wife, sending her survival guides. They provided her with a buddy of a current student, a current student's partner that assisted her with questions. And IESE even provides our partners with free classes that they can walk with us to experience the whole MBA vibe. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of clubs. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for the past 8 years, and the entrepreneurship club at IESE is extremely active. They've got an extremely active alumni connection, and it does help that those clubs are available to all students.
Yeah, so I'll just add to what you had mentioned. So actually, there are more than total, if we see, other than just professional clubs, there are actually more than 80 clubs at IESE which have been formed till date, including all professional, cultural, social clubs that help you, navigate through your career better, through your MBA journey better, to help you get trained for maybe a particular career transition or a certain geographic positioning advantage that you want, or maybe plan activities to pursue your hobbies, interacting with like-minded people, so on and so forth. And a few of the famous clubs at the school. The most famous clubs at the school include the Responsible Business Club, which is, by the way, also responsible for organizing the largest student-run conference in Europe, called the Doing Good, Doing Well conference. Then, of course, we have the Consulting Club, the Tech Club, as well as the Entrepreneurship Club. And these are all heavily in demand at IESE.
And as well as the wine club. I heard that's also quite a popular club.
Yeah, we've got a lot of connoisseurs at ESE.
Great to hear that. We have such novel and beautiful clubs there. So anybody who, I think that covers most of the interest that people are coming with from across the globe. So it has the ability and the capability to house almost everybody from the globe. So that makes perfect sense for anybody to apply to such a great college. And which brings me to our almost last part of the session, which is what are these scholarships options that colleges in ESA and INSEAD, if you can speak about.
Sana, can you take this one?
Sorry, are you referring to scholarship options?
Yes, scholarships options. Okay.
Sure. Okay, so when I applied, I in fact I received admission from HEC, ISADE, and IESE, and I received scholarship from both IESE and ISADE. Both had a similar process in the beginning, which means that it is inside the application process itself. There will be an essay question that you can answer. And you have to explain your motivation for or why you require the scholarship. ESA gives out scholarships for both need-based as well as merit-based. I was a recipient and I was awarded a combination of 2 scholarships. One was the Forte Fellowship Scholarship, which is a part of the Forte Foundation, has tied up with a lot of business schools around the world, and that is given to a few top profiles, to only women candidates, to motivate them to join business schools and be future leaders of tomorrow. And the second scholarship I received and I was awarded was the ESA Excellence Scholarship, which is given to about top 10% of the class. So the process for me actually was one step beyond this. After my main interview, and the assessment day was over, I received a call from Malvika on the result day that, she informed me that I have received admission. And not just that, but I have been able to secure some amount of scholarship for my admission. But they want to go one step further, and they wanted to schedule an additional interview with the AdCom with me to assess whether I can be an ambassador for ESA, and just to see how I respond to different kind of questions. And then it was a blank slate from there. Actually, I didn't have much knowledge. I wasn't given much inputs, except that maybe brush up on your current affairs, know your industry, know what your background is, and know your story, right? And that was pretty much all I was given to attempt the interview. And this was to see whether I could qualify or be considered for an additional amount of scholarship. So happy to share that I did clear that round, and I did get a further amount of scholarship as well, and that's why I was awarded a combination of 2 scholarships.
Yes, so I was awarded the entrepreneurship scholarship, as well as the family scholarship at ESA. I think ESA, from all of the schools that I applied to, had the most amount of scholarships and the most diverse types of scholarships. I mean, there was geographic scholarships for people coming from certain areas. There were professional scholarship for people coming from certain industries. Diversity scholarships. They were the cool thing. The ESA was the only one that had a family scholarship. So people coming with partners and coming with a family. As Sana said, it's obviously needs based and merit based. And in the application process, while filling out that scholarship essay, I think be honest and be straightforward. Again, if the school likes your profile and sees the possibilities that you bring to the school, they want to get you there. And one of the ways they do that is to assist you with a scholarship. I mean, coming from India and coming from South Africa, our currencies don't necessarily stack up that well to that of the euro. So getting that scholarship made a massive difference for me, being able to come to Europe. So I think that's also one of the things that again, ESA completely blew me out of the water with was that conversation that you have with the AdCom beforehand, and them understanding where you come from. I think because of the fact that the AdComs are split up to specific geographic areas, they understand what the challenges are in those areas, and they understand that certain people will need scholarships and certain people might not. Yeah, I mean, the process was quite straightforward. I didn't need to do a second interview like Sana did, because I'm not eligible for the Forte Fellowship for obvious reasons. So no, it was quite an easy process. But as I said, I mean, be straightforward, explain, and I think that's one of the things that before I even applied, I went into, because most of the schools will show you exactly what scholarships are available, and a scholarship makes a big difference. It honestly does, especially afterwards when you don't have to have that massive financial burden if you've taken out any study loans and stuff like that. So go do research before you select a school, because that has to play a role in your decision. If obviously you can't afford to just pay for your MBA outright. But with the IESE, it was quite straightforward, and they had a hell of a lot. I think I was eligible to apply for about 7 scholarships. So I mean, there's IESE was quite special in that regard, that they really had a huge amount of available scholarships.
That makes complete sense. So just to compile everything, guys, apart from housing such varied clubs, and from the most common clubs to the most extravagant clubs, such as the wine club, IESE also holds scholarships for both people, need-based and also the merit-based scholarships. And as Tian mentioned himself, that he himself was eligible for 7 scholarships, so that pretty clears the idea that how much scope you have for that purpose in the school itself. So that brings me to our the last part of this session. That since this is eventually a talk show, we got to invite the guys from the audience as well. So audience, it's over to you now. From the speakers, the ball is in your court and the mic is in your hand. So I would like to have some questions from you guys, so that we can answer those. And if you think we would have missed on to some things which might be very much relevant to you, and we have not addressed that issue so far in the talk show, so we would be happy to assist you in that regard. These questions in here. Comment. So the mentorship provisions to any insurer will try supporting the costs for registration in India. So this is there, I guess. Yes, no number of applications last year. So I think, guess with the competition being increased, because we did hear this part from almost all the consultants, that the applications have been much more than they were in the previous years, because of the recession following. People have started going for upskilling themselves, and we have seen I heard this data as well. We have 35 to 40% rise in the applications. So I don't know how much accurate this data was, but what do you guys think that how much competitive this year is going to be compared to the last year, which was already indeed a competitive year in itself?
Yeah, I mean, Rajiv, I feel that living in a post-COVID world, I think everything is upside down, and people they don't know what to expect. And I certainly, being an entrepreneur, realized quickly that the world is it's in an instant, it just goes belly up. So I think the amount of people that saw that and that chose to do an MBA to upskill themselves, to be able to pivot and adjust to a changing world is definitely one of the reasons why there was a quite a substantial uptick in applicants coming from the 2017-2016 year, where there was record lows. So I think people are starting to see the value of the MBA again, and understanding how the MBA can be used to try and navigate this post-COVID world better. But that's my opinion.
No, I actually completely agree with Diane here. So, when the pandemic had started, there was a common saying that I think everyone around the world kind of heard about, and they say that the best time to do an MBA is when the economy is, in a rough phase, going through a rough phase, because and the pandemic was the main reason for this. Of course, we all know that. They say that, by the time you get out of your or complete your masters or your MBA, whatever you choose to do, you will be much better positioned as compared to your peers for the more futuristic roles that are coming out. Because one thing we all know for sure is the world is not going to operate in the exactly the same way as before, as in a pre-COVID versus a post-COVID world. There's more focus on different kinds of offerings, different kind of roles are coming up on a daily basis, and most of the roles happen to be have a very futuristic outlook. And as you may all know right now already, that a lot of companies, most companies around the world are already undergoing digital transformation, which was in fact forced at full speed because of the pandemic, right? So because of this, people felt that they need to upskill themselves completely in order to be better positioned to take up these roles, which will be up for grabs in a post-COVID world.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Just to so that just to tell you guys that we are going to have this last question, so that we can, because it's almost time. So the question is again from Abhishek Upadhyay, and it is a very relevant question in context to what how many people, which kind of people are falling into the more competitive zone. So we have seen, particular kind of people, for especially from India, belonging to IT background, or from the bachelors of technology engineering background, applying to MBAs, and how much difficult it is for these applicants falling in more competitive pool, and also from how can they make themselves stand out of the crowd, especially given in the spike in the competition rate, number of applications being risen.
I kind of feel. Look, I mean, it's the schools are looking for for diversity of point of view. Obviously your background does make a difference, but I think when you are in your interview process and you can showcase that, or with your essays you can showcase that your point of view and your scope of knowledge goes much wider than just IT and just engineering. I think that's what the outcomes are looking for. I think they're looking for people that, whilst you're in class, can provide a different point of view than the normal IT person. So I do feel that there are obviously from India coming a lot of IT guys with people that have IT background. And again, that's you need to stand out with your point of view. So be authentic and have a wider range of knowledge. I think that's the best way to differentiate. And schools are looking for people that are diverse, not just from a professional background, but from a family background, from a geographic background. So all of that can play into your favor.
Yeah, I agree. Schools do want a diverse profile at the end of the day. If you feel that your profile could be easily, I mean, your story, if you feel anyone else can just replace you and say the exact same story, then you maybe have lesser chances, unless it's a very unique story. Try to make your own profile a bit diverse, but not just from the point of view of getting into a good B school, but really do it to really broaden your horizons. Do it for yourself. And I feel that it really opens up my mind. Taking part in different things, could be hobbies, it could be different cultural activities, maybe it was traveling for me, or certain hobbies, or I launched a leadership program. I started mentoring a lot of students and fellow colleagues, and I started opening a lot of sectors, or diversified my interests besides my profession or academics, for that matter. And even when you look at academics, try to diversify your interest there also, and really know what you really want to do. Don't be all over the place, because adcoms don't want that, right? Don't try to do 3 professional degrees at the same time and then try to justify it, because there is, if you're not able to link these things or match it up to a story that really tells someone who you really are and what makes you unique, then adcoms aren't going to buy it either.
Agreed.
Great insights, Sana. Great insights, Gian. So I think that would most probably answer the answer Abhishek's question. So just to answer that, Rohit, your answer, Sana, already has mentioned in the earlier part of the conversation that, being the applications being on rise, especially post-pandemic, since we are not going to see the same world again, and we are having number of the rise in number of applications. Of course, the scholarships will rise because people are having financial obstacles. People are obviously going for a low number of applications. That all completes the story with the rise in the number of applications for scholarships. I think that would complete most of the questions that we have covered so far. So guys, before we sign off, only for the last, only come for the conversation in the next episode. Again, in the next, just to let you guys on the same that in case you're looking forward for any GMAT like assistance, if you're looking for experts advice how to go on to prepare your journey for GMAT, or if you have any doubts regarding any admission consultancy, how to do your profile evaluation, which college you should go for, any question about school selection, country selection, that is not there from the conversation as of now, I think you should go and schedule a call for your assistance, and you can schedule the call. The link I just introduced in the comment section box. You can schedule a call for yourself. This will be a personalized call, and in which we will be providing you one-on-one assistance, how you can go on and prepare for your GMAT journey, or the advice that you want to hear for the school selection and things of those sort. So GMATWhiz offers a unique product of GMAT preparation, which use AI, which in turn uses its own algorithm based on the advanced machine learning to structure the course based upon your weaknesses and strengths. This is a tailor-made solution, which is the state of the art as of now, because it is something which is not static. It will depend upon your skill level and your strengths and weaknesses, the time that you can devote per week. It will change and adapt as per those needs, because your skills will change over time when you're preparing. Also, the time that you can devote might change. So you need a study plan, you need a course that adapts with you and evolves with you. So we are looking at a course for your preparation, and this is the solution that we were able to come up with. In case you have any doubts regarding admission consultancy, we have a 6-step process for admission consultancy, wherein we start digging into your story, because our first job is to dig into your story, as we would have heard from the earlier part in the conversation from both Diane and Sena as well. You need to sit down and introspect and see what you want. First, introspect on your long-term goals, the prospects that you can have in a particular country. So that will come only if you introspect and see. So we help you in digging that story down, what things you might be great at, and how you can contribute into a particular industry for a particular country, going in a particular business school. So for that kind of assistance, you can also schedule call with GMATWhiz team, and the link is here in the comment section box. Also, I would like to finally thank Sana and Deanne to join us and to give us their precious time, and join us in this noble endeavor of the COVID mission, which we have recently launched on. Great to have you guys. It was really a pleasure to have you here, and hope we see similar kind of people coming up on the show and sharing such great insights again in the next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rajiv, for hosting us. And to all of you guys starting the process, good luck. There is definitely light at the end of the tunnel. I think just keep on going. You'll definitely find your dream school eventually.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you so much, Rajiv, for hosting us. Love the session. Diane, really looking forward to meeting you in Barcelona soon. And to everyone else here watching the session, good luck to you. And do check out Mentoroni platform as well if you need to be connected with experts from your target schools.
Great to hear. So guys, if anybody's applying to IESE, they might be seeing in the second year, they might be meeting Sana and Diane so they might be already aware of you guys. So hope they meet you soon. Thank you guys. So we'll be signing off. Hope everybody keeps, stay safe, stay fine in these difficult times. Thank you, Sana. Thank you, Diane, once again. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.